My daughter's birth certificate came back with a name I didn't give her. We had agreed on Ren before my wife even started showing. It was the only name we never argued about, the only one that stuck. 8 months of debates, a running list on the fridge, and somehow Ren was the word both of us landed on without fighting. So when Claire went into labor, and I spent 12 hours in that hospital chair holding her hand, Ren was the name I kept saying in my head like a prayer. She was born at 3:37 in the morning. 7 pounds, 2 ounces, perfectly healthy, and absolutely furious about being in the world. The nurse handed her to Claire, and I sat on the edge of the bed with my hand on my daughter's back while she screamed at both of us. We filled out the paperwork right there in the recovery room. Name of child. I wrote Ren. I watched Claire write Ren. We signed everything and handed it back. 6 weeks later, the birth certificate came in the mail. I was alone when I opened it. The name on the document was Lena. I read it 4 times. I turned it over like maybe the real one was on the back. I held it up to the kitchen light as if I'd somehow misread plain black ink. Ren Vashti Hartwell. That's what we signed. Lena Vashti Hartwell is what came back. I called the county vital records office and got put on hold for 22 minutes. The woman who picked up told me clerical errors happen, that I'd need to submit a correction form and a sworn affidavit. She said it like it was a parking ticket. I thanked her and hung up. Then I stood in my kitchen and stared at the name again. I said it out loud once just to hear it. It didn't sound like a typo. It sounded like a choice. Lena. My wife hadn't come downstairs yet. Our daughter was still asleep upstairs. I thought about everything rationally and decided there were exactly 2 explanations. Either the records office had made a mistake, or my wife had changed the name after I left the room. I knew which one I believed. Claire's mother's name was Lena. She died 14 months before our daughter was born. A fast-moving pancreatic cancer that took her from diagnosis to gone in 11 weeks. Claire never really recovered. She didn't cry at the funeral. She barely slept the first month after. She kept saying she was fine with this flat voice that meant she was nowhere close to fine. We talked about naming the baby after her mother once, early in the pregnancy, and Claire had shut it down herself. Said it would feel like a haunting. Said she wanted the baby to have her own name. I had believed her. I set the birth certificate on the counter and waited. Claire came downstairs in her robe, hair piled up, still half asleep. She poured herself coffee before she noticed I was just standing there. "What?" she said. I held up the certificate without saying anything. She looked at it. Her face didn't change, and that was all I needed to know. "Claire." She set down her mug. "I was going to tell you. When? I don't know. When it felt right." She crossed her arms over her chest. "The nurse came back with the final form while you were down getting food from the cafeteria, and I picked up the pen and I changed it. I know how that sounds. It sounds like you changed our daughter's name without asking me. I know. We agreed on Ren. I know we did." Her voice cracked on the last word, but I was holding her, and my mom had been dead for over a year, and I kept thinking about how she never got to see this. She never got to hold her, and I needed her to be there somehow. I needed there to be something. She stopped, pressed her lips together. "I'm sorry. I should have talked to you first. I know that." I looked at my wife, who had not cried at her mother's funeral, who had held herself together for 14 months while she learned how to live without the person who raised her, and who had apparently sat in a hospital bed at 5 in the morning holding our daughter and finally broken open just enough to do one thing that made no legal sense and perfect human sense. I picked up the birth certificate again. "Lena Ren," I said. Claire looked at me. "We can amend it. Add Ren as a second name. She gets both." I set it back down. "But next time you decide something this significant, I need to be in the room." My wife crossed the kitchen and put her arms around me and held on longer than she had in months. We filed the amendment 3 weeks later. The corrected certificate reads Lena Ren Hartwell. We still call her Ren around the house most days, but every now and then Claire will look at her and say Lena under her breath, real quiet, like she's telling someone something. I don't say anything when she does that. I just let her have it.